What's up, people? Welcome back to the channel. Got a video here talking about, I guess, my personal choice of like some top 5 rogue decks. I'm not claiming any of this is meta. This is more like just rogue. I guess, like none of these decks are necessarily going to come out of nowhere. There's like some of them are obvious, but at the same time, just my personal choice of decks that I think that could actually do something. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start off here with Magical Musketeers. Just Magical Musketeers in general. I don't have any other cards. I just have one card to represent the deck. Um, you got Link into the Vrains, which is a card that came out in the latest tin, and it pretty much allows you to summon him and doesn't let your opponent respond to that summon. And pretty much, and if you know what he does, to simplify his effect, he gives you the ability to either search X amount of magical musket cards or summon an X amount of magical musket monsters, depending on what you have on the field. If you add the speller traps with different names. Let's see. For the number of monsters. Yeah, that's how it was. Yeah. So if you could add a number of spell and trap cards to your hand up to the number of monsters your opponent controls, or you could special summon monsters up to the number of spell and trap cards your opponent controls. This card was supposed to break the whole deck. In reality, I mean, it really does. It really makes the deck good. It's just it just isn't enough. I guess, yeah, I guess that kind of contradicts it. Like, it does make the deck good, but it's not enough for the meta. Like, in a nutshell, like, if you just want to compare this deck, and like, yeah, this does make it a good and usable deck, but just the fact that it's like it's pretty much you hit him with the hand trap and the whole thing was done. That really held people back from wanting to try it out. You would have to run stuff like Super Poly and random board breaking cards. Back back when people were trying this out when Max first came out to make it work. But with Link into the Brains, you basically have the ability to do what this deck wants to do without having to run that extra stuff. So it can leave you open to running, I guess more of, more of the actual engine. Yeah, this is just something I'm very interested in. I do want to give it a shot, but we got the Beasted or Bestial, whatever they're called. And there's going to be a couple choices on here that do have light and dark monsters, but I do want to try to. There's going to be a couple that have nothing to do with light and dark, so this might be something that'll really go around a lot of these like the beasted cards that people are going to be running. So I guess this is number 4. So number 4 would be Inspector Border Stun. Now, to explain Inspector Border Stun, it's basically you play Inspector Border, you play Thunder King Ryo, and you play either like Banisher the Radiance. Oh yeah, you play Banisher the Radiance. You also play Fossil Dyna, and you basically play those 4 monsters at 3. That's your monster lineup, and then you just jam pack it with traps. All right, you put some judgments to stop the back row. You put a bunch of just a couple of traps to kind of keep them off, throw them on their toes. Depending on what you want to run. There's a lot of traps out there. There's cards like Lost Wind, which is one that if you set it, and then you can use it to negate the effect and you half the attack, and then when your opponent special summons another monster from the extra deck, you could set it from the graveyard right back on, right back onto the field, so it allows you to use it for the next turn. So there's a lot of what's the other good one? I used to use it a lot of Crackdown. That's another trap card that's really good. IDP. Oh man, I forgot the freaking name. Dragon's Prison. Yeah, well, I hate that. Like, I remember the acronym, but I did not remember the freaking the name of the card. But Ice Dragon's Prison. There we go. Jesus, Ice Dragon's Prison. That's another good trap that would might actually see some really good play, especially with people running a lot of like decks that are they're dark, they're light, they're aqua. That really helps. So Inspector Border, you would have to run a little differently because they used to use it with 3 card demise, and that really helped the deck be something. Like card demise is at 1, so you still technically can win the deck. You have Prosperity, so you could dig into it, and then you have Duality and Desire. So you do have cards that you could use to make the deck work. But through my experience, it takes a lot of effort. This is a deck to where if you don't have a lot of money and you want to be successful, yes, go ahead and buy this deck and you can be very successful and you will win a lot if you're good at Yu-Gi-Oh. Now, it just sounds is that harsh? Maybe it's a little harsh, but you need to understand that like that like the game is designed to where unless you have the perfect amount of interruption or negation or just floodgates for that specific matchup you're in, your opponent's gonna have an out. And if you misplay once with a deck like this and you don't have the right traps to save it, and you lose your border, and all of a sudden you're like, crap, like he's gonna put up negates and negate all my traps. So yeah, so like it does require a bit of skill. Like it does seem like it's like you know, very easy to play. It is easy to play, but it's also very easy to lose. You know, like there's times where you might draw a bunch of traps with no monster, and your opponent just has enough extenders to extend through all your negation, and they put up a monster that's just stronger than 2k, and you end up not being able to deal with it. So there are drawbacks to this deck, but in the right hands, if you're willing to learn the meta and dedicate yourself to learning what traps really work and what monsters, because there's a lot of different floodgate monsters. I might do a video solely on explaining this deck. Like I do want to do more deck profiles and stuff. That's what I want to do in the future. But yeah, I would put this at number 4. This deck has a little bit of potential. So at number 3, I have Elvis the Golden Lord. This is another trap deck, and the last 3 have had a light and dark monster that, like, you know, I experienced some like light monsters. So I want to, you know, deviate from that, so that way we don't have to worry about. Let's see, yeah, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this. Screw that last tangent. We're gonna start with Elvis the Golden Lord. This guy right here just is pretty much the only monster you run in the deck. He's like the heart and soul of it, but it's kind of similar. It's similar to this deck, but you just run less monsters and you run kind of more traps, and then you focus more on the Outlish. The Outlish does give you more plays, as in the ability to like get rid of cards on the field, and then he's a 25, and he's even more. He can go to 35, so he is a big body. He does get rid of cards, and then you do still have the freedom to run all those trap cards that I mentioned in the last one. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, someone comes out with some kind of Outlish shenanigans. I will look out for that. Alright, so for number 4, my number 4 choice is Earth Machine. Jesus Christ, I was going to say Infinitrack. It's not Infinitrack, it's Earth Machine. It does use the Infinitrack engine, but usually mix that with the Machinas, and man, there is just there is times where I got my friend who just like who has like the hard on for this deck, and like I just want him to go away whenever he gets on a hot streak with this deck, because it it puts you in these really hard positions to where I could do this play, but then if he happens to have X card, then he's just gonna kill me anyway because he's gonna double attack. So then you end up doing stupid plays, and then he's just like, okay, well that's fine. How many life points do I have? Well, it doesn't freaking matter because I'm gonna burn you for like 2k and then hit you for like 65, and you end up just losing no matter what. And then even when you think you did everything, you negate everything, and then this stupid card right here just comes and, you know, replenishes everything. So it in the right person who knows what they're doing, like someone who dedicated their time to understand like how to make this work, this deck is pretty scary, especially if you don't know what to stop. Like if you're sitting there and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna stop to this, stop to that. No, man, you better know what you're stopping. You better understand what he could get out, because you could sit there and stop 4 things, but if he's able to get out the freaking Dora, then you might as well just, you know, he's gonna slowly be able to either get back, he's gonna get recursion, or he's gonna hit you with a 1-turn OTK. So yeah, this right here in the right hands could be a very troublesome deck that people could start trying with. And okay, well, this is number 2. I said number 4. That's number 2. Number 1 is Salomon Gray. I am very high on this deck for its rogue capability. Like, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's 100%, but I love the different things that you could do with this deck. You could play this deck true to itself and play it the old school way. Like, you don't have the Gazelle, but you have a lot of cards that kind of like make up for that. You could play this a more like traditional with like a lot of recursion, and you have the traps, and you just have the whole loop going on, and you could play it like that. Or the way that I like to play it is you could add the microcoder. There we go. Microcoder. You add the microcoder engine in there, and all of a sudden this deck just explodes into this toolbox to where you're like, man, like you have like a 1 card opening into freaking Heat Soul, which gets you like +2. You know, you get 2 cards off Heat Soul, and then if you have like 1 more extender, you could go Heat Soul number 41 Baguska, and it's just like, whoa, hold up. So you're saying with like with 2 cards, I could go Heat Soul, Baguska. I could have Baguska on the field, and I could draw 2, and then. And even if you don't have the right cards, you could still most likely always set up some type of, I have the trap set, either the Rage or the Roar, and then you could always recur it. You could do the little loop and stuff. Like, there's ways to play this deck that'll really catch catch a lot of people off guard. You know, kind of similar to the Earth, the Earth machines. They sit there and they negate, and then you just throw Dozer in the graveyard, and then you get draws and all this stuff. Similar to Salomon Gray, to where maybe not the draws, but you could end up kind of playing around a lot of hand traps. Like, there's a lot of, like if you run the parallel exceeds in there and you run all the little extenders in the mirror, yeah, there's ways to, like, so, with the mirror you could search it and then it special summons itself. So there's ways to, like, kind of bait your opponent into making sure they negate this search and negate that effect, and then you just play around that. So it's very good in that toolbox kind of fashion, to where if something happens, like, unless you just have a dead hand full of just nothing, you could be like, okay, like, let me do this to do that, let me summon him in a different way, and then you could make something happen. And then the fact that they're not a light or dark, which, that's really good plus, because it takes out, like, a lot of the extra stuff. Banishing cards, like, it doesn't really need to banish, so, like with it doesn't lose to the Chaos Hunter. Actually, it will help from the Chaos Hunter, because Spinny is not going to get banished. So yeah. I was actually thinking, I was like, oh crap, does it lose a Chaos Hunter? No, it does not lose a Chaos Hunter. It actually does really well against Chaos Hunter. So with some of the techs I've been seeing and some of the decks that are coming out, this right here, Salomon Gray, could be like a really sneaky way to kind of get in there and kind of catch them off guard and hit them with that, number 41 Heat Soul combo, and then they don't know what to do. Next turn, you just OTK them with a freaking Axis Code Talker, and then they're GG lights out. So, yeah, that's it. Those are the five decks. We'll go back. So number 5 would be the Magical Musketeer. Number 4 is the Inspector Border. Number 3 would be the Eldritch deck. Number 2 is the Earth Machine deck, not the Infinitrax deck, the Earth Machine deck in its entirety with the Machina package and the Infinitrax package. And then number 1 is Salomon Gray. That's the Salomon Gray deck. I was gonna say Sunlight Wolf, but yeah, that's, I guess, like my choices for a couple of sneaky rogue deck options that are out there. I do want to put out a couple of deck profiles on these decks. I do have a couple of ideas that I might want to try out, and also we still have the giveaway going on. For the Ash Blossom. Once we get to 100 subscribers, I'll put out a video so people can comment on, and we can try to get the Ash Blossom out. So yeah, if you guys like the video, go ahead and drop a subscribe if you like it. Trying to give my kind of different videos out there, seeing what people like, and that's it. Until next time, peace out, guys.